Hi everybody, I hope everybody can hear me. Hello and welcome. Our topic today is remote maintenance with COMBIVIS Connect. My name is Dennis von Domborski and next to me my colleague Bastian Pyka. We planned 30 minutes for this seminar today. If you have any questions, please write them directly into the chat. Only my colleague and me, we can see them. Therefore, if we are not able to take every question into account, we will answer them afterwards. Now I'd like to hand over to my colleague and he will present this topic.
Wonderful. Hello from my side too. I will start my presentation so that you can see my screen. Okay, I want to explain today remote maintenance with COMBIVIS Connect, basics and outlook on new features. Okay, I will show you our agenda for today. At first, I want to explain what is COMBIVIS Connect. The second part is how does COMBIVIS Connect works. Then I will explain any basic functions and demonstrate it with a live demo cube. And I will present any features which are, I think it's very important for you that you know it. Okay, let us start with the topic, what is COMBIVIS Connect? COMBIVIS Connect is a software program for remote access and maintenance of PC-based industrial machines with a Windows operating system. So you see that is the first sentence. This software is based on our remote access, which we can install on our computer. What we can do with it, we have the chance to use the remote access to subnetworks. Therefore, we have the chance to build up a VPN connection. So VPN means virtual private network, and this is an end-to-end connection via Ethernet. The second part is a serial part as pass-through. There we have a virtual serial port installed, and then we have the second part which we can use to work with the remote access. What we have for usable tools, you see it here in the presentation, for example, remote desktop, for example, remote explorer or file manager. We can use the chat and we can create, for example, a screenshot. Any points of that I will present later in the demonstration, but only that you see we have a lot of usable tools.
Okay, Basti, I have the first question.
Okay.
It sounds very interesting. Is it correct that I have the possibility to connect every device from my office?
Yeah, sure. So that is completely correct. You have the chance with our product or with the COMBIVIS Connect Control Center to connect to all devices in the world. Yeah, you're right. Okay, hopefully the question is answered. I will continue. What do you need? What do you need? At first, the COMBIVIS Connect Control Center. The COMBIVIS Connect Control Center is the program for remote maintenance. I try to mark it here. Hopefully you see it. And that create or is used for the access to the domains, manage users and their rights, and register devices to the domain. All of that is inside from the COMBIVIS Connect Control Center, and I will show it in the demonstration later. This control center is installed on the corresponding PC of your colleague or on your PC, for example. This was the first part. The second part is the COMBIVIS Connect runtime. The runtime contains the installed and executing components on the remote C6 devices. So for example, you see on the left side, here you have a, for example, HMI or router or C6 Smart. That component is running on this product, and with this component, you have the chance to build up, for example, a VPN connection. The third part is the infrastructure. So that is using for communication between the control center and the runtime. So that is not what you need to buy. This is apart from the KEB side. So you have all the time the infrastructure when you buy the Connect runtime. And we guarantee a maximum of data protection. We had a certificate for it, and that is very interesting. The last point is the COMBIVIS Connect domain. The domain reproduces the customer account. That domain is your domain. And here you can use all your devices, the services which we want to learn here in the seminar. One important hint for you, when you create like this domain, you can give a name for the domain, but you can't change the name afterwards. So think about it, enter a good name, and then you have it all the time. Okay, how works COMBIVIS Connect? COMBIVIS Connect used an internet connection. So in that case, you can work with Ethernet or a SIM card. SIM card is only using or is only important when you use, for example, a C6 router, because there we have a slot for a SIM card, and this SIM card allows that you get the internet about the mobile network connection. For example, the C6 HMI or another router or a book mount, there we have the chance to use the Ethernet connection. The next point, what we can see here, how it works, we create a VPN connection between the PC, our user PC, for example, my PC, where the COMBIVIS Connect control center is installed, and the remote PC, in that case, the COMBIVIS Connect runtime, which is installed, for example, on the C6 router or a smart. And between these devices or components, we build up the VPN connection, the virtual private network. The chance, or what we can do with it, it allows access to devices in the subnetwork. In that case, you see here on the left page, not on the left page, in the picture on the left side, you see the COMBIVIS Connect control center, which is installed on the user PC. I mark it here. Then you have the other component on the right side, the runtime. And the runtime here is apart from the KEB side. And about the server structure, you can build up a VPN connection. And with this VPN connection, you're on the same network. And with the same network, you have the chance to work, for example, with a subnetwork. So in that case, you can update as a program from the C6 Smart, for example, very easy about the VPN connection from your office. I think it's a very good and useful tool. Okay, but the question is, all the time we speak about the remote access, which devices from KEB supports COMBIVIS Connect? Connect is available for all KEB devices, but not for a monitor and a compact. So you see here, for example, in the picture on the left side, a resistive and capacitive HMI or ALC. That component have here, you see it in the table, the symbol of the Connect. And here you see all the time we have for the HMI and the C6 HMI LC, the HMI, the Connect runtime installed. So all the time you have here the chance to use the remote control or remote access. Let us look to, for example, a book mount like the E22 or P33. Here we have the chance to use the Connect component. The next is a box EPC. It's the same process, you see it here. For example, there we have the chance for the E22 to use the Connect in the with the runtime. The next part is the C6 router. And the router, I described it in the beginning, has a chance to get the internet about the SIM card or about the network from the customer. But here you see the Connect runtime is installed. So with all devices from KEB, you can use the remote access. But as I said before, not for the C6 monitor, the C6 AMM or the C6 compact. Okay.
Okay, Basti, you talked about the devices that can work with the service. Will the software be installed as default so I can use it easily?
Yeah, you can work with it very easy. But it's not installed by default. This runtime is an additional part of KEB. And for example, the HMI, the SC, the Smart, and the S14 has always installed a licensed runtime as default. But for the IPCs, for example, the E22, that is a part which you can configure, for example, with your sales guy.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, okay, good. We continue. I want to describe how you can add a new device in the Connect Control Center. Here you find a button which we called Add Device. When you press on the button Add Device, you get a new window, and in the window you see ID and the password. Where we can find the ID and the password. On the next page or with the next picture, you see a part of the runtime. And the runtime shows the ID and the password if it's not connected with the domain. Therefore, it's mandatory that the device has an internet connection. Without internet, you don't get an ID. So internet is necessary for that. The same for the router too. But a router has a specified process to add it into the domain. To use or to add a router in the domain, you need here at first a username and a password. The username and the password you find on your devices on the label, which is present on the side from the C6 router. When you enter it and you're in the same network, so the router and your PC, where the control center is installed, is in the same network, then you can discover the LAN. So I mean the local area network. If all is correct, you find here a MAC address or two MAC address. It's present too on the label on the side from the C6 router. And when the C6 router is the correct one, then it's the same MAC address like the label. If you press on configure, we get a new page where we have the chance to use the domain registration. You can enable here the checkbox to edit the router in that case into your domain. Enter initial name and choose about the select folder, select button, a folder. And that folder is that one what you can use in your domain. After apply and reboot of the C6 router, the device is present in your domain. Okay, now we have a device inside from the domain, but now it's a question which person can work with it. Therefore, we use at first, or we need at first, a new user. So how we can create it? It's the same process. Here you find a button to create a new user. Enter here a username and a password. And here you can choose if you want to, that the customer, when he logged in at the first time, that he change his password. When we add the user, then it's necessary that we assign the permissions. You see here, for example, the new user is present, and about the button on the folder, for example, DK07, we can add here a new user. And that user, which is present here, can get new permissions. We can allow permissions or we can deny permissions. For example, the administration right is a high permission, so we can deny it, for example, and the device access, we can allow it.
Okay, Basti, one question, please. Let me say you create a new user, like in your example, into the folder DK07. Did the user has only permissions to work in this folder?
It depends on the permissions. So if you like, you can add the new user or another user to another device or to another folder, and there you can set or assign new rights or new permissions. So you have a lot of possibilities to use this user in more as one folder. Okay?
Yeah, thank you, Basti.
Good. I will start with a short demonstration. Here for, therefore, a short explanation. I activate now the camera, and now you see the demo cube. The demo cube is connected with the internet over a mobile network. My PC is connected with the KEB network. So it means that we have two different networks, and I work about the COMBIVIS Connect Control Center with the remote connection. Okay. I disable the pointer here, and now I jump to the COMBIVIS Connect Control Center. In the COMBIVIS Connect Control Center, I will show at first here the Add button or Add Device button. If you click on it, here you find the ID and the password. Enter the ID from the runtime side and the password, and after clicking on OK, the device is present here in your domain. The same for a new user. For example, here I create a user, new user, and set here a password. And I activate the checkbox, user must change password at next sign in. Now you see here, the new user is activated. Now the user is present, but the user has no rights. Therefore, I click, for example, on the folder demo case 7. About the permissions, I say add, and in the add button, I found here the new user. I implemented that new user in the folder, and now I can say, for example, device access, I allow it, but the administration rights is not for the customer or for the new user, and the other parts too. So in that case, when the new user logged in, he has or she has only the possibility to use these functions here. Okay, now I show you that I can log in into a device. Therefore, I log in into my demo case, and in the demo case, I show you that I can use it or work with it. For that, I create here, for example, a new file. New file from Bastian Pyka, for example. Then I save it in a specified folder, in the MMC memory folder, for example. Then I choose the text data file, choose a name, and then I press OK. Yes, I want to save it as text. I close it, and that demonstrates that I have the chance to work or to use the remote access from my COMBIVIS Connect control center to the demo case. Now we create a file, and I want to show you the Explorer function. The Explorer function you find here on the right side, the remote file system. When we go back to the MMC memory, where's the MMC memory here? You find here the document which we created for a few seconds. And now I want to create on my desktop a new folder. I create it, and I want to transmit that file into this folder. Okay, now I show it to you. Here is now the file which we created, and so you have the chance to transmit files from your PC to the runtime or from your runtime to your PC. Okay, the next part, I want to show you a very big and important feature, or in that case, a basic function, the VPN connection. Here in this window, you find the connect button. You see here on the left side, this is my computer, and this computer has the IP address 172 and so on and so on. And the runtime, which is connected with the mobile network, has 192. Depend on the installed network adapter from our Connect runtime or Connect control center, we get a new IP address which is in the same network. So you see the 10.240.0 and the ending is not the same, but you see we are in the same network. Now I will show you about the ping command, that we have a connection to the device. Therefore, I enter ping and the IP address of the remote device or the Connect runtime, and you see here all the time I get a feedback. When I disconnect it now and start again a ping, then you see I don't get a feedback. So I think it's clear with a VPN connection, we can create a connection in the same network. Okay, I show you another option in the control center. Therefore, I closed the connection to the device. And about the button device here, you have the chance to filter, for example, for offline and online devices. Or you can choose or filter for client versions, for example. So here is a list of all devices which is implemented into your domain. The third part here is the audit. And the audit, you see here, you have the part of operations and connections. If we check the operations, you can see that the admin use a lot of different cases here. And you see here, a new user is created in demo case 7 folder. Or we check the connections. For example, today I tried 3 times, and you see here my last connection is for around about 4 minutes. Okay, good. We jump back to the presentation. Dennis, any questions?
No, until
okay, very good.
Now.
Then I will continue here. I will, explain it. Is the video? I close the video. Now you see only my presentation, hopefully. So the summary of the basics. You can change or you cannot change, it's very important, the domain name afterwards. You can add a device about the button add device with the ID and the password, but not for a C6 router. The configuration of the C6 router is only possible about the configuration page. New user needs permissions. The audit is a usable protocol where you can see a lot of different things. And I show you the VPN connection to connect to a remote network. Okay. That's a part of the basics. And now I want to explain any features about the update, about the new features. Therefore, we have, for example, the automatic update. With the automatic update, you can install a new runtime about the internet. It's not necessary that you stay on the device. You can do it online. It's available with a higher version like 7. You have 3 different versions. Certified, that means a version which is past the security audit. Stable is released and taken into our production, and the beta is for the sole purpose of tests and evaluation of new features or fixes introduced. So it means if we have any bug fixes or so on, then you can use the beta function. Where we can check or start the update, therefore you have here the update button. I activate my pointer. Here is the update button. Now you see here, it's up to date. So no newer version as the 11.8.25 is available. But if it's available, then you see the status available. If you click on update, you can choose between the different versions and you can schedule your update. You can choose between now and you can choose between now and you can schedule your update. If you schedule it, you can enter here a date and a time, and into this time window, the update will execute it. Then you see the schedule is present here. When the update is in the running mode, you see running, and if any failure is present, then we get a failed. Now I will show you the firewall. A firewall is like a rule. So you can add a firewall, and that you can use for a rule. I will describe it on a short example. We want to assign the firewall, which we create later, to a folder or a device. And we have now the chance to define the access, the VPN connection, and we can say if we want to allow it or to deny it. About the button here in the top, you can add a new firewall. Therefore, we choose here, for example, a very easy MAC address, and then we choose or we switch to the device, in that case for the HMI of the demo case 7, and there I add the new firewall. I allow all other firewalls, but only my new firewall with this MAC address. That is the firewall or the rule which I want to deny. It means all devices has the possibility to build up a VPN connection to this device, but not this device with this MAC address, because we deny the connection here.
Basti, there's one question. One of them did ask if your example is done with a C6 router.
Yeah. What is the question again, please?
Your example on the demo case.
Yeah.
Was it done with a C6 router?
Oh, sorry. Okay. No, it's not done with a C6 router. It's, or in that case, I work with a C6 HMI, but the same process you can use on the C6 router. Hopefully the question is correct now.
I think so. Thank you, Basti.
Very good. Okay, another point is the two-factor authentication. The two-factor authentication is a security part, and which where you can access only with the combination of two different factors. The first factor is the password and the username, and the second part is an app. The requirements for that are a validated email address. The email address is necessary that you validate it. Then you can go into your profile and activate the user profile. The scan of the QR code, which you can see here with the specified app, is necessary, and then you have the chance to use the two-factor authentication in the next sign-in. So it means you need all the time an app, or this app which is connected with this account, and your username with a password. Another point is can't access button, or the function can't access. So for example, you forget your password. The requirements for that are that the email address must be validated too. It's the same like on the two-factor authentication. Therefore, or in that case, we have three different options which we can use. And the first point is the reset password. The reset password, it's a mail which you can send or which you receive from KEB, and there is described how you can reset your password. Then you have recover domain and username, and there you get a mail which contains the name of the domain and your username, so which is present or it's linked to your validated email address. And the last point is the reset two-factor authentication. So it means, for example, you lose your tablet or your smartphone, that you can log in again with the two-factor authentication. In that case, you can reset it and start the process again.
Okay, Basti, now we hear it a few times, the validated email address. How did I know that my email address is validated?
It's a good question. I will show it later in the demonstration if it's okay for you.
Okay, thank you.
Good. We start directly with the demonstration of the features, and there I will answer this question. I will show you the automatic update, the firewall, two-factor authentication, and forget password. Let's jump to this page here, or to the COMBIVIS Connect Control Center. And at first, I show you where you can find if your email address is validated. On the top, you find here the admin or your username. Click on it, and there you find here the email address. If your email address is validated, you have here check mark. If it's not validated, then you have here a warning, it's not validated. So I hope that it's clear for you. Okay, then I jump here to my device, and here is the button for the update. This device or the runtime is up to date, but if I press on it, I can choose if available between beta and certified, and I can choose to start the update now, or I schedule it within the time window. I can say schedule it. Yeah, we need, or it's required to reboot the device. No problem. But in that case, I abort it because it's up to date. Now I will present how we can add a firewall. Therefore, I use this button here. Add, in that case, Web Seminar Firewall as name. It's implemented here too on the folder. And here I can add, for example, the MAC address. Like this, like the example, I add here a MAC address, and now the firewall is finished. But where is the firewall using? In that case, I jump to my HMI and choose here the firewall options. I set the check mark or the activation box and allow all actions as default. Then I press on the add button, choose my firewall, and say here, I want to deny it. It's only an example. So all devices are allowed, but not this device which is present or it's connected with this firewall here. So in that case, the device with this MAC address has no chance to build up a VPN connection. We can add here, for example, another rule, for example, single again. Then we can say here either get or whatever. You have a lot of different possibilities to extend the firewall. Good. The admin, but we jump to the admin, sorry, and here is a two-factor authentication. As I said before, it's necessary that the email address is validated, but you see here the check mark, it's validated. Now you can jump to the two-factor authentication and activate it. And now you have here the QR code, which you can add or which you can scan with your smartphone, with your tablet, whatever. And after the finished process, you have the safety login possibility activated. Now I sign out, and here you have the current access button. If you click on it, you have here the three different options which I described before. There you find the reset password, recover domain and username, and reset two-factor authentication. For all that function, it's necessary, I said it again, that you have a validated email address. The last point, what I want to show you, is the help function. Here, for example, you can choose between German and English, and here you can read anything, for example, about the firewall, importing the policy, and whatever you like. Let us jump back. Now here, a short summary of that functions. So I show you the help function. There you find a lot of interesting information where you can easy start an online update of the Connect runtime. I show you the can't access functions, where you can find it and what the requirements for it. I show you the safe login, I mean in that case the two-factor authentication, and I explain and show you to use and add a firewall. Okay, that was my part. Dennis, any questions from your side?
Yes, of course. There are some questions. The first questions, I will send it to you. The topic is the update function. What happens if an undervoltage is applied by the update of the device? Is there an UPS backup, or did it start the update again if you plug in?
Okay. So if you started and power supply is off or whatever, normally the update process starts again. So yeah, it's need a 2, 4, 3 minutes longer, but normally it's no problem and the update starts automatically again.
Okay, thank you. Another question, does a limitation exist? I mean, for example, a limitation of user or devices in the domain?
When you buy the domain, so that is what's necessary, that you buy the domain. And when you buy it and license it, you have no limitation for user and for devices. So you can work with a lot of devices and users.
Okay, thank you. For example, I'm using a C6E22.
Yeah.
And it's connected to a monitor, but I haven't got a license for COMBIVIS Connect. What would be my possibilities to use the service on the device? Did I have to purchase a router, or what did I have to do?
A router is a good point, yeah, but I would say the easiest point is to search a communication with your sales guy, and your sales guy can explain it and can give you an example how you can work with the remote connect or the remote function, in that case, the COMBIVIS Connect.
Okay, yeah. Thank you, Basti.
So, another question. All clear? Okay.
Everything is clear. Thank you.
Very
Basti.
good. Okay, in that case, I would say thank you for your attention. If you have further more questions, don't hesitate to contact us. And yeah, we would say goodbye. See you next time.
Bye.